now listening to the Jca Sports Podcast on Spotify and Anchor. To the Jca Sports.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
What up? Eric, you back.
We're back. Another episode of the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live. Jose Contreras, myself, Eric Avila. We are live once again here on Facebook Live. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. Make sure you guys tune in, like us all. Follow us on all our platforms. And guys, make sure you hit the little bell on our Facebook page so that way you know when our shows are up and live, including this one, Sports Drip Live and the EAFP podcast. Jose, the misery's over, man. Our Bulls lost. The season's finally over. I think we can finally put this season to bed. Kind of a disappointing ending, but at the same time, there's a lot more positive than there are negatives, Jose.
Definitely.
I think from where you and I wanted the Bulls to start in the beginning of the season to where they are now, it's you and I want it's let's look at it at this point, man. The Bulls are back to relevancy ish, right? They look like they're back on the map. They got a 500 record, above 500. They made the playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons. They look like they are gonna have a decent squad, maybe some adjustments in the off season. But overall this season, Jose, what's your ranking on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you rank the Bulls season this year?
Oh man, first and foremost, thank you to David on point. That intro is fire. Thank you, sir. It took me a while to make it, but you know what? I agree with you. It's fire. Straight fire. And as far as what do I rank the Chicago Bulls season? I'm gonna say dumpster fire, Eric. Dumpster fire.
Really?
No, I'm just, I guess I'm just look. It's the emotion talking, right?
I guess
the misery is over. It's finally done. The Milwaukee Bucks have defeated us, put us to bed, laid us to rest, put us down, gave us the final shot, emptied the clip, you name it, right? And it sucks because the Chicago Bulls, out of all the Chicago sports teams, have a special place in my heart. Special place in my heart. Ever since the Derrick Rose era, even before then, obviously I'm a 90s baby, so I know all about the Jordan era. But this, and I don't know why, because you and I are both we were in agreement before the season started.
Yeah. Where
we thought, look, all we needed was to take the next step, right? The next step into relevancy, the next step into, eventually what we want in a championship, right?
Yeah.
So, we didn't come in this season thinking, hey, they have a chance to win a championship. We just wanted them to make the playoffs, be competitive, and just improve from the year prior, right? They done that, so to say. They made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't really competitive at the end, but they were competitive halfway through the season. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what switched. I mean, I know injuries played a huge part of it, but we can't always blame injuries. But they were a huge part of I guess the dismembership, dismantle, the debacle, whatever you want to call it, that happened, down the stretch. It just sucks that the way they went out, they were so depleted.
Yeah.
I was telling Ricky in our show before this one, the last 4 or 5 home games, and even before the playoffs, they were blown out in every single one.
Yeah.
And then you come into the playoffs and your 2 home games here in Chicago that you have with Milwaukee, you're blown out again.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be. You know what I mean? I get it. We weren't expecting this team to win a championship. We weren't expecting this team, to defeat the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. But I at least wanted them to be competitive to where, like, you know what? I can't wait for next season. Now I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm confused.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna rank it, I'm gonna give it a solid 5.
Wow.
Right in the middle. Because again, like they met my expectations getting to where I thought they would, but then halfway I was like, they could have done more. They could have been a lot more competitive, and they didn't do that. And I feel embarrassed right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wow, I didn't expect that from you at all. But you know what? I get where you're coming from. I think to me, I think it's more like a 6.5. I'll give the Bulls out of 10 for me, simply because like we said, our expectations were all met. At least you and I, to a certain degree, right? You said it before, and I'm saying it again. I'm repeating it. We were on agreement. But we both kind of wanted the same thing. I think you had a little bit more higher expectations than I did. But you're right. This team, the way how it started off, on 100. It started off flying high. This team was the best team in the NBA, or flirting with the best team in the NBA.
Yep.
Of the NBA, should I say, for months, from I want to say October on to January.
They were definitely the best team in the East, for sure.
Definitely the best team in the East, for sure, 100%. And the way how it ended, with injuries, DeMar DeRozan MVP like season, Zach LaVine looking like he wanted that max contract and more, like he deserved it. Lonzo coming in clutch, giving us some games here and there. The signing of Alex Caruso, and we saw Caruso just balling out this even in the postseason before today when he was hurt. Vooch, give credit where credit is due. Vucevic, doing his part, and it looked all fine and dandy, man. And like I said, the injury to Lonzo Ball was one big thing, and then Zach LaVine not being 100 was another, and then losing Alex Caruso for probably like majority of the season, or at least in the second half of the season. The plate was too much for DeMar DeRozan. He did the best he could. He kept us up there for a while, but then, as in the NBA, your roster, stars run the league, right? And the Bulls didn't have any superstars, but they had an all-star or two in there to help him out, or to help out DeRozan. And it just wasn't enough. Then second half of the season, they finally faced good teams. I'm talking about the cream of the crop, and they looked bad in majority of those games. The record was what? There were 0 and 248 or something, whatever. Maybe I'm over exaggerating on the number.
No, not 248, but yeah, but against the top 3 teams in both conferences, they I think they only had one win.
They barely had a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a 6.5. It's simply because of how this, to me, the way how the season started and the way how it ended. It ended on a sour note. I guess we got a little bit too excited after that one win that they got in Milwaukee for game 2, and then games 3, 4, and today's game slapped us down to reality. I think the playoffs is a perfect anomaly of how the Bulls season was. Like the first 2 games were everything that we seen the Bulls competitive.
Yep. For real. For real. I didn't think about that. You're right.
And then the last 3 games is how the season ended for the Chicago Bulls. So
100%.
Yeah, man. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm okay. Now I just want to see what are the next steps for AK and for Eversley. And I think that's the biggest question, not only on us, on our mind, but also the whole entire Bulls fan base. What are you going to do with Zach? I think that's going to be the main question and the main focal point and talking point throughout the whole entire offseason. What are you going to do with What are you going to do with Vooch? Is Vooch on the trading block? Are you going to listen to trade rumors, or you're going to listen to trades for DeMar DeRozan? What are you going to do with Kobe White? So these questions go on and on and on. And this Bulls offseason is going to be a very entertaining one, nevertheless. And I know for a fact when there's breaking Bulls news, we might, if it's on the day of our podcast, we're going to run it. And if not, we'll probably have a special episode and talk about it. Obviously the $1 million question for all of us is, and speaking of millions, is Zach LaVine. Is he worth it? So far, the answer is no in my books. In yours?
Is he worth it? I'm leaning towards more. I'm leaning towards no as well.
It's on
only because Eric, this playoffs was supposed to be him proving himself for that contract.
100%.
We know what he could do in a regular season. We've seen it before DeMar DeRozan, before we got Vooch, and even when we got Vooch, The offense ran through Zach. Zach did his thing. He did exactly what he was supposed to in the regular season. But it's the playoffs. That's what matters, right? That's when everything is slowed down. That's when everything is magnified, right? You want to be a superstar. You want to get paid superstar type money. The playoff is where you're supposed to prove it. That's where you see Giannis do it. That's where you see Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Joe. You name it. Give me a superstar. LeBron James. That's what Kyrie Irving. You see what these guys can do in the playoffs. That is why they're superstars. That is why they make the money. Even though the Brooklyn Nets got swept, Kyrie Irving still played like he deserved all the money he's getting.
100%.
He is a superstar. Kevin Durant as well. If you're Zach LaVine, you have to be in that category.
Mm-hmm.
He was not. He was not. This was his only shot. Now, you can blame injury all you want. That's fine. But if you're Zach LaVine, you're getting injured almost every other year. We were just talking about this with John. I don't want a superstar who's going to come in and always get injured. If that's the case, give me Anthony Davis. I don't want that. I want someone who's reliable, someone like Kevin Durant. Well, I guess maybe not him because he's been injured too. I want someone reliable, someone like Giannis, someone who's going to play year in, year out, not only excel in the playoffs, but just dominate completely. Zach LaVine isn't that guy. At least he hasn't proved it so far. Will I give him another? Would I like to give him another shot? Yes, but he needs to be healthy. If that can't happen, then no. But I guess the only reason why I'm leaning towards a no, but then at the same time I'm also leaning towards a yes, if that makes sense. But the only reason why I'm leaning towards a yes a little bit is because who else are you going to have? Who else are you going to bring in? Who else do you have right now? It's almost like just keep the damn guy already. Just see what he can do. Hopefully he can stay healthy and turn it around. And I think he can. Because every year he gets better, right?
Yeah.
And the next year you just strive for the entire team staying healthy. Another year of Williams improving. And again, maybe bring in, like as I mentioned last podcast, bring in two legit centers, a backup center and a legit starting forward. I mean, a legit starting center.
Yeah.
And pair him up with Vooch, and you'll see a whole different Vooch, and you may see a whole different offense. But we'll see, man. Look, I trust Eversley. I trust Carsonovas. These guys so far have proven that they're going down the right path. Every year they're getting better. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I want to see. We made the playoffs this year. Great. Let's win a series next year.
Yeah. Or at least win more than one game. How about that? Baby steps.
Be competitive, man.
Competitive. Okay. Be competitive and win one. Duffman, Swole Man over here says this series was a mess for the Bulls. They should have won it, or at least contend with the stats. Yeah, man, they were, I think, out of all the NBA teams, they were the worst offensive team in kind of every statistical category. That was hard for me to say, right? So, yeah, man, it wasn't a good series at all for the Chicago Bulls. The Milwaukee Bucks become the third team to advance in the next round for both conferences, joining the Celtics and the Warriors, the Miami Heat. We already got the second round playoff set already between the Bucks and the Celtics. I want to get a little bit on your side, guys. And if you want to join us, the link is also on the Facebook app too. I mean, Facebook StreamYard too as well. Facebook chat. There you go. Make sure you guys could join us here or join us on the chat too. Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media.
That's the link right there. Click the link. Allow access to your microphone and your video. You'll be put on immediately.
Yep.
And then afterwards, again, if you guys want to watch us, Eric, let them know where they can find us. If you look on our screen there, you'll see where exactly you can find us. Jca Sports on YouTube, on Twitch, Sports JCA on Twitter. And, of course, if you're on Facebook, you already know where to find us.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, we want you guys to hop on with us, and let's have a conversation about sports. All right, Jose, there was a lot of good games. There's a lot of good games going on in the first round of the playoffs. We already have one series or two series already done. Then outside of the Bulls, the Heat and the Hawks. The Heat won last night, but every other series is 3-2. And which one to you has been the most surprising series for you so far in this NBA playoffs?
The most surprising series, the Pelicans and the Suns have been very, I guess, surprising in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the Pelicans are, I wish what my Bulls were.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Competitive. That's what we should have been. The Suns are the team that, just like the Bucks, went to the finals last year. They're the team that came in number one, the team that a lot of people predicted to go back to the finals, and yet you have on the Pelicans team, who were a play-in team, by the way, come in and they're giving them fits. Why? Because they're competitive, and they're without their superstar in Zion Williamson, by the way. The way that team's constructed, the trade with bringing in McCollum from Portland, and then you have Jose Alvarado, you have Valanciunas. Valanciunas. I mean, that team right now, Eric, is constructed to last for a very long time. Once you get Zion back healthy, who knows what they can do? And they're making a competitive series with the Phoenix Suns right now, and that's been the biggest surprise to me. I also like seeing the Timberwolves Memphis matchup. Obviously I think both the Suns and Memphis are going to win those matchups, but just seeing the teams that we don't expect to win make it competitive is what I like. That's what I wanted the Bulls to be. What I wanted the Bulls to be. But that's my surprise.
No, yeah, that's a good one. I don't think you could go. I don't think you could go wrong with kind of any of the series. You could go on. I mean, you could say even the Warriors Nuggets. Although the Warriors. I mean, the Nuggets. That one's just three. I'm sorry, not the Warriors and Nuggets. Oh my God, the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. That one's the most surprising, and I think the most entertaining out of all the series so far. So I think that was a series that we all kind of expected to be entertaining, and it has been. It has been ever since. I mean, it's just a good series of two young teams just going back and forth, and a superstar emerging in Ja Morant, who won the most improved player for some odd reason after posting MVP like numbers, but also in the Minnesota Timberwolves, who kind of didn't have a shot. Kind of didn't give them a shot to compete with the Memphis Grizzlies, and where they're at in this position right now, giving them a tough run. Yesterday was the most exciting game so far. 111-109 was the game yesterday. It's just been an exciting series so far, and all the other series have been great. Duffman goes on and says right here, surprising series for me has been the Sixers and the Raptors. 3-0 for Philly, and now we have a 3-2. Man, that's a comeback. Let's go Raptors. So that's a good one. Dave says the most surprising series, Celtics Nets. Never expected the Nets would get swept too. So yeah,
really good point. Really good point. A lot of people, especially us, we thought the Nets would go all the way to the finals, and for them to get swept the way they did. We talked a little bit about it Monday, but just you have two superstars in Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's supposed to be one of the greatest superstars, if not the greatest superstar playing right now, and for him to allow the team to be the just hot mess that they've been all season is surprising in itself, but definitely surprising that they got swept against the Boston Celtics. But that's credit to the Boston Celtics. Everybody's looking at the Brooklyn Nets, Eric, and like, oh my God, everything they've been through this season, Kyrie Irving and all that he's done, not playing, Ben Simmons and the mess that he's in. Nobody's giving credit to the Boston Celtics. First-year head coach, right, that they have there going on too, and for them to just turn it around, because look, I was big on Boston in the beginning of the season, but they were letting me down. Every single one of my parlays would hit, but that one Boston game, and I stopped betting Boston because I was so mad because they would always ruin my parlays whenever I would put it in. And for them to start off streaky and then to turn it around, literally want the complete opposite from the Bulls, and turn it around, and then you see what they're doing now. Crazy, great defensive team. Jason Tatum's coming into his own. Watch out for Boston, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones coming out the East.
Yeah, Boston. The Boston is looking kind of that squad to look a little tasty, man. Like it's that squad that you were like, okay, cool. It's on the. I get it. They flew under the radar a little bit, and then the way how they started and how they ended the season, and how it just overall the way that they stormed back, they got healthy at the right time. I guess you can say they got healthy at the right time,
through the
right?
Season.
They didn't get the credit that they deserved. They thought they were being overlooked. Hell, we even said that if the Bulls got the Celtics for some odd reason, that the Bulls could make it into a series with them. I don't think so. The way at least the way how I looked right now, how the Bulls looked, anyways, in this series.
You know what?
I don't think so. I don't think that the Boston Celtics. I think that one would have ended in a sweep.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, but it did. I mean, here we are, man. Here we are. But you know what, Eric? Basketball is basketball. We have plenty of basketball to talk about.
Woo, yeah, we still got another series. We still got the NBA championship.
Yep.
I mean, the basketball is here at least until the end of May, for sure, early June.
But what's tomorrow? What is tomorrow? Finally, we get to talk football, baby.
Yeah,
Football is
actually,
back.
David's about to join us right now to talk about the NFL draft right now too. Send him the link, so he should be joining us to talk the draft right now. But yeah, the NFL draft is on tomorrow, and the Bears with their first round pick is they don't have one.
You don't have a first round.
Oh,
No,
man.
You know what? They don't need it, Eric. They don't need it. They have 2 second-round picks, and if Ryan Poles is the GM we all want him to be, then who knows? Maybe he could do something with those second-round picks. Besides, first-round picks are overrated, right? Look what Ryan Pace did the last couple of years.
No,
Not a damn thing.
No, man. Look, Ryan Pace just did a bad job with his first round picks, and we can go on. Right before we let's continue with the NFL talk, let's Duffman goes and says Celtics came in fighting. I knew they were gonna win the series. I usually thought 4-1, but the Nets are just a mess, and Ben Simmons got paid for absolutely nothing. Brooklyn got robbed by him and their squad. Then being swept was expected the way they.
I'm trying to tell you, I was the only one that said, hey, I think Philadelphia won that trade when it first came out. And they did. They definitely did, man. Sucks for Brooklyn fans. Sucks for Kevin Durant fans because, just another year, of him being second best to LeBron. A lot of people always say, him and LeBron, comparing him to LeBron, just like how they compare LeBron to Jordan. You compare Kevin Durant to LeBron. He's not LeBron James. I'm sorry. He's not LeBron James.
I don't think anybody could be LeBron James, bro. I think LeBron's just LeBron in his own little thing.
LeBron is LeBron, second greatest of all time. You heard it here.
For now. I look. We can have this conversation for another day.
Here's Katie going next. Hopefully the Bulls. I'll take him in a heartbeat. He'll be my favorite player right away.
No, absolutely not. But let's get back to the conversation because obviously tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. Even though the Bears are not in the draft, and reason so is because there's a lot of interesting stories out there.
Oh yeah.
There's the Debo Samuel one. There's obviously there's mixed reports about Robert Quinn on the Bears and what they're gonna do. Is he gonna be traded on trade day, on draft day? Baker Mayfield, what the Browns are gonna do with him. I mean, storylines galore, and then this offseason that the NFL just had with wide receivers just going everywhere and getting paid. It's a storyline for the NFL draft just to embark and embrace and just have and just for make it to be intriguing, even though teams like us and I don't know who else doesn't have a first round pick, but to keep us intrigued and keep us by the television because we want to see what happens. So for you, Jose, what would be an interesting storyline for the NFL draft tomorrow?
I think for me is like there's no clear-cut number one guy coming out. So it's interesting to see who comes out and is the first pick of the draft. You can go a plethora of ways, to be honest. I mean, I personally think Aiden Hutchinson should be that guy, defensive end from Michigan, going to Jacksonville. But the fact that Jacksonville has back-to-back number one picks, they got their quarterback last year. And, now here they go. They have another first number one overall pick. That's intriguing, right? They're coming in with a new head coach, organization starting over. You have your quarterback for the future. You could add a defensive prowess there as Hutchinson, who I think should be number one overall. And here we go. I mean, like Jacksonville is one of those teams like Houston Texans, like New York Jets, where like it doesn't matter what they do, they're just always plagued with bad seasons. They're always in the top 3, top 5 because they just can't get it together. I could see that. I mean, they had a 1 year outlier, right? When they made the playoffs and everybody was happy. That's when Jalen Ramsey was still there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they can turn it around, and I think this will be the season to do it. Other than that, obviously, you look at the first round pick. You have teams like the Philadelphia Eagles who just came out of a playoff, first round exit, but they still have 3 draft picks in the top, all in the top 20. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs and what they did, trading Tyreek Hill, having back-to-back picks at the end of the first round. There's a lot of storylines, but I think the biggest storyline is what will the Green Bay Packers do now that they have Davante Adams out, now that he left, went to Las Vegas. Who do you pair up with Aaron Rodgers? And as Chicago Bears fans here in Chicago, that's always a big question. What are the Green Bay Packers going to do? Right? This could have been this was supposed to be the year he leaves, the year the Bears climb up the ranks, finally dethrone the Green Bay. But no, he stayed. But he doesn't have those same weapons he had years prior. So what can we do there? What can the Packers do? How do they replace someone like a Davante Adams? There's a plethora of storylines here, man. The NFL is crazy. It's king for a reason.
Yeah, man, and the draft is going to be interesting tomorrow. And let's bring in a guy who I believe, in my eyes, is the draft expert, because I've never seen a podcast who talks about more about the NFL draft and having mock drafts. And within the last, Dave, the last 5 podcasts, you had like mock drafts or something like that?
So we did 5 mock drafts within the last 2 months. I've done more mock drafts this year. I did a couple big boards. We even ran through that PFF simulator. I did a show with that a couple times. Man, if you've never really experimented with that, man, that is super fun.
Eric usually wants for the NBA here, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty intrigued. It seemed pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, David was the one that introduced me to that one too, so I'll give credit where credit is due.
I'll tell you, it is amazing. I did one last night, and it took Malik Willis to the Packers in the first round.
Really?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Malik Willis went to the Packers in the first round? I mean, it can't happen, but it's simulated. It must be a possibility, right?
It could be a possibility.
Where the Packers are? The Packers have what picks? They have
they got 27 and 21, I think.
22nd and 28th. In this
22nd, 28, yeah.
22nd and 28th. Yeah, I mean, who knows, right?
So I mean, Green Bay. I mean, their big things to do is they got to replace Corey Linsley, who they never did 2 years ago. I mean, they got to replace Zadarius Smith somewhere in this draft, and then obviously the big one, they got to replace Davante Adams, because you look at their wide receiving core right now. Not a lot of confidence there with what they got. I mean, you got Amari Rodgers. They just signed. What's left of Sammy Watkins, and I mean, I don't, man. If you don't get somebody in the draft, it might be a wrong season for Green Bay.
Yeah, there was a post I seen on Twitter the other day. They ranked the top 10 worst wide receiving core in the NFL. The Bears were number 4. The Packers are number 6. So that's how bad.
Who's worse? I mean, for real. Who has a worse wide receiving core than the Packers right now?
The Giants.
No, I would take Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton.
The Giants or the Jets, but
Darius
Slayton too.
Right.
I still think I'd rather have Corey Davis and Elijah Moore over whatever Green Bay is going to be trotting out.
I mean, you're definitely right on that. Real quick, before we continue our draft talk, Dave, let's go to the comment section right here. Duffman Go says there's a few stories I've heard that the Bears may trade up. Honestly, I don't think they should. Just own the second round. Go to draft a good wide receiver and maybe build up the O line from there. He continues.
What do you have to trade though for the Bears?
The only thing they have that's of value is Robert Quinn, I guess. Right. I don't think you're getting a first round pick for him. You're probably looking at a second rounder or.
I mean, multiple picks in the second day.
You would have to give up Quinn and both your second round picks and maybe a fifth just to get up to the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think them trading into the first round is pretty unrealistic. But
right,
I mean, them trading Robert Quinn for a third or a fourth round pick is pretty something they could definitely do.
Yeah. As you know, he set the franchise record with sacks for the Bears this year, so his value is on the all-time high right now.
But he also said he wants to stay, so I imagine. Yeah. They're not going to any kind of hurry to trade away a guy who wants to stay.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Even if they're in a rebuild.
True. Even though they don't want to say it's a rebuild, but it's a rebuild.
It is. They're going to stink next year.
Duffman goes on and says the Packers are definitely going wide receivers in the draft. They want to give Aaron Rodgers a player he can mold for him so they can make their own connection. So That's what we got on our comment section. So
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, based on where they're picking, I mean, if they're not going to try to trade up, which they could, they could package up both those picks and try to get up to where Seattle is,
yeah,
and potentially, basically have their pick at the wide receivers. If they want to have Garrett Wilson, if they want to have Drake London, they can literally pick anybody they want. If
yeah,
they just package up both those first round picks, call up Seattle and be like, hey, we'll give you both our first round picks. You give us 9.
Yep.
yeah, definitely.
They would do that. And Seattle wants to trade down. I mean, they could justify taking a quarterback later in the draft if they want to. At 9, it makes 0 sense at all.
No, and you know what? Seattle's not the only team that are looking to trade down to.
Every team in the first, every team wants to trade down. There's literally like the number 1 prospect in this year's draft probably wouldn't even break the top 10 last year.
Fact.
That's how weak this draft class is.
That's true. 100%.
And that's mind-boggling too, because you hear names every year, or at least a good 6-7 names minimum in every year's draft. And this year it's like it's hard for who's going to be number 1. Last week I told you, Dave, who do you have coming out as your number 1 player in this year's draft? Jose said Hutchinson, but you gave me a different name.
Yeah, it's gonna be Trayvon Walker. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and the fact that everybody has changed their mock drafts within the last 3 days to put Trayvon Walker as the first overall pick, which his rise makes very little sense to me. Like, he was like a part-time player at Georgia. I know he had crazy stats on the combine, but like for him to go from like a fringe first round pick to the first overall pick just through the draft process is like unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%. And it's just,
I think his level of bust potential is like pretty high,
super high. I think not only just
for being a bust, you think so?
Yeah.
I think anybody in this draft kind of if you kind of think about it, depending
outside of Kyle Hamilton, I'm sure Kyle Hamilton's gonna be good.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, you need to give Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville some weapons, and he's a good one.
Okay,
he's a good one. We'll see what he can do.
I mean, but there's nobody to take at 1 at wide receiver position. Like,
true.
And they did spend a ton of money on free agency on wide receivers. They way overpaid for, what's his name? The kid that was on the Cardinals.
Christian Kirk.
And then they gave Zay Jones like $8 million a year. They still have Laviska Shenault, who was a first-round pick a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They never got to try Travis Etienne. They've spent a bunch of money on their offensive line.
Yeah, it's Jacksonville. You're right. It's Jacksonville.
Yeah, that Christian Kirk contract is going to be head scratching for a long, long time.
that one's I didn't understand that, and I still don't understand it to this day.
He's got 1 season where he had over 1,000 receiving yards. 1.
Yeah, and that was like what, 3 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
he like when he signed that contract, he was like the 5th highest paid receiver in the league
at that time. Oof. Yeah, that's not good.
So.
For you, so the big question mark and the big talking point for this draft this year, at least for tomorrow, is Deebo Samuel. Do you think that there's a team out there that would trade their picks for Deebo? And if there is, who has the best shot in trading for him?
Sure. I mean, any of those teams that need a wide receiver. I mean, if I was a team, I'd be like, hey, do I want to take a coin flip on a guy? I'm going to draft a guy. Do I want to trade a first round pick for somebody who's already established? Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. You got the New Orleans Saints who need a wide receiver, the Jets who need a wide receiver, the Eagles, Tennessee, Green Bay, Kansas City. Like, do I want to trade my first round pick for somebody I know is going to be good? Sure. Hell yeah, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, not only
any of those teams that need receiver.
Yeah,
I mean, if you need Atlanta Falcons, sure.
Yeah, and the 49ers say that they don't want one first round draft pick. They want multiple first round draft picks, and
as they should.
I don't think they're gonna, 1 and maybe like a 2nd next year. I don't think they're gonna get multiple firsts. Like in retrospect, let's just look at Deebo Samuel's career. He's literally had 1 season where he was even like remotely all that good. Like, he had more yards receiving last season they did the 2 seasons combined before that.
Yeah,
right.
and that's kudos to. Do you give that kudos to the coaching staff, or is it him being this? How do you want to call it? This gadget player for the San Francisco 49ers that actually upped his value up so high this year, or at least upped his value so much this year that we're talking about multiple first round draft picks. Is that the reason why?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, because you have to remember San Francisco basically burnt through 4 running backs this season. Like, so, Raheem Mostert was the starting running back. He got hurt in week 1. They had the kid from Ohio State, got injured early in the season. Elijah Mitchell filled in, then he got hurt for a hot minute. And then what was the guy who replaced him got hurt, and then Elijah Mitchell came back. And so they had like a revolving door at running back. And so the only really stable mate of that backfield was Deebo Samuel. If Raheem Mostert doesn't get hurt in week 1, do you think they use him as much as they did? Probably not, because Raheem Mostert's a good running back. You don't need to run Deebo Samuel 10 times a game when you have Raheem Mostert.
Well, he was healthy this year too. Deebo Samuel was healthy, so of course you give credit to that too. Finally healthy, able to show what he can do, what he's able to do. And I don't blame the 49ers for wanting multiple draft picks. Hey, like, he's the one who wants to leave. They don't want to get rid of him. But if he wants to go and the team is interested, you better get the most out of that. Absolutely.
I mean, if that's skill, give me whatever you got. I'll take whatever you got. I'm not just gonna give this guy away.
Exactly.
Like, nah, zero chance.
Right.
Is there any possible way that the Chicago Bears find their way tomorrow in the first round?
No. No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive. So I was messing around with that PFF mock trade simulator or draft simulator last night, and I did. So I was trying to trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? I wanted the first overall pick and Trevor Lawrence. I traded every pick we had for the next 3 years plus Justin Fields, and they still wouldn't do it. literally all of our draft capital for 3 seasons plus Justin Fields, and Jacksonville's like, nah, can't do it. I was like, this is why you're the Jaguars.
For real, that's crazy.
3 years of draft capital, like literally every single pick for 3 years, and Justin Fields for the first pick and Trevor Lawrence, and they still said no.
I'll be like, sign me up. This guy.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say. I think we just end the show on that point, man, because I don't know what to say after that. But you know what? You're right. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars, like Jose said. And you know what? It's crazy. It's crazy that we were talking about this simply because we know that the Bears on a rebuild. They don't want to say it because I think Poles and Eberflus really do believe that the Bears can finally compete this year. And with the multiple picks that we have in the second round, Dave, what are the needs that the Bears should really fill in with these 2 draft picks? Or do you think with these 2 draft picks we could kind of scoot back and get more capital?
I mean, that's not a bad idea. I mean, for a team that has as many holes as the Bears have right now, I mean, they could try to trade back and get more draft capital. But I mean, this offensive line needs to be addressed in like the worst way ever. I mean, if you can take both those 2 second round picks and take offensive linemen with both of them, that's a good move. Or if you can get even George Pickens at 40, I think is our first pick, and then I think we have a pick that's like in the mid 40s somewhere in there, a little bit later, 42 or something like that. If you can get Tyler Smith, the tackle from Tulsa, I don't imagine he's still going to be there, but that guy has talent written all over him. He's got the right skill set and body size to be a really good left tackle in the National Football League. He's just super raw, and his technique is atrocious right now. I think he led all of college football last season in holding calls at the tackle position. But when you look at what he's like, his build, he's like 6'7", 330 pounds, like what you look for when you build a left tackle. He killed it at the combine. Like,
if he has the attributes, of course, absolutely bring him in. We'll just see exactly how this regime can develop. Like you said, this guy is super raw. You know, if you have the right pieces in place as far as coaching staff, then yeah, go ahead. You know, we'll see what Eberflus can do.
But I've seen him mocked in the first round, so I don't know if he's going to fall that far.
Ooh. Third day with 38th pick, right? The Bears do?
Bears got the 39th and the
39th?
48th pick in the second round. And obviously they're going to pick 3 times that day as their second and third round.
And then they need another wide receiver. I mean, you can't just have Darnell Mooney as our only guy.
Right. Whatever happened to Pringle, who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, that's
I imagine he might get released. I don't know.
What do you say to that, David? About, you have 2 moves, 2 significant moves that Ryan Poles makes right away out the gun with Okunjobi and now Pringle, and both doesn't seem to be panning out, and the season hasn't even started yet.
Well, I think it's not really his fault about the Ovenjobi. Like nobody expected him to fail his physical. I mean that's just kind of bad luck. With the Pringle thing, you do your best you can to check their character before you sign them to a contract. But at the end of the day, there's really only so much you can do.
I mean, I think he knew his
People are
character.
just going to make bad decisions on occasion. Like,
They-
they're human beings.
They both came from Kansas City. I think he knew his character a little bit. You know what I mean? But
I don't know.
he had a checkered past, but it sucks. It's definitely unfortunate.
The one thing
If they have to cut Byron Pringle, I don't think it's the end of the world. And Tyler Smith, by the way, 6'5", 324. I was wrong. He's only 6'5".
Very true.
But he's one of the younger players in this draft. I mean, he just had his 21st birthday earlier this month, so he's pretty young.
And with the offensive lineman career, if they have a long, sustainable one, look at Jason Peters up until he was 40.
Yeah.
So, they may be the biggest guys on there and may look unhealthy at times, but those are the guys that actually have the longer career in the NFL. Dave, real quick, man, where do we find you on the social media platforms, man?
So I'm at PSW_David. I'm the executive producer at Prime Sports World. It's a sports podcast, kind of like you guys. We go straight live on Facebook as well. Also on YouTube and on the Twitter. We do Twitch sometimes, but I've kind of focused more on Twitter than on Twitch because it's hard to build an audience if you don't already have something there. But yeah, PSW_David is my Twitter handle. We're Prime Sports World on Facebook as well.
Nice. And I know you told me today here, because we're colleagues here at Illinois Media School. So this is the only reason why, I brought you in, simply because you're the only guy that I know that does mock drafts. But you were telling me that you're going to go live tomorrow during the draft, right?
Yes. So we are going to go live for the entirety of the first round. We're going to start about 10 minutes before the first pick, and then we're going to go all the way till the end.
There you
So if you guys have any free time, you want to jump in for talk about a couple picks here and there, I'll send you over the link, man. You guys can join. Prime Sports World. Yeah, we go live basically 6 times a week. Basically coming up with new topics to talk about every single day. Mock drafts, NBA, and NFL is our most consistent coverage.
There you go.
There you go, my boy Dave Hoffman here. He's a smart guy, man. Look, he brought me into this whole managerial life, and I roll with it, and I'm continuing rolling with it. He's the only one that gave me the interest in the Bulls trade market, and the Bulls season ended today. Dave, are you glad that the season's over? Or at least
I mean, why prolong the inevitable? I guess.
on a scale of 1 to 10, on a serious note, though, on a scale of 1 to 10, rank me the Bulls season this year.
Yeah, it's an 8. I mean, this is a team that spent the last 4 seasons having the worst record in the league, and the fact that we were a playoff team this year, yeah, it's an 8. Do I think this season was perfect? No. Do I think the Bulls should have probably made some sort of deal at the trade deadline to improve their team for a playoff run? Yeah, but did they? No. But it's all about AK knows what he's doing. I mean, he helped build that Denver Nuggets team, so I mean, you got to give him a little bit of doubt here. But yeah, it's an 8. The Bulls were the worst team record-wise 4 years in a row. With the last 4 years, the Bulls had the worst record in the NBA. We had the worst record than the Kings. We had a worse record than the Orlando Magic, the Houston Rockets, the Detroit Pistons. We had a worse record than all of those teams. And now we were the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's an 8. What do I think they're going to do about Zach LaVine? I don't have a clue.
I don't think neither of us do. And
I mean, I don't know. I think they don't have a choice but to pay him because they don't have any cap room, so they can't get anybody else. We're already way over the cap.
True. Yeah.
Dave, one more time, man. Plug in your social media so people can follow you.
PSW_David, and then it's Prime Sports World on the Facebook. That's Prime Sports World.
Awesome, Dave.
That's
our draft. Well, at least my draft insider, my draft guru. This guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to sports. The only guy that I know that has a mock draft, at least for 5 weeks in a row. It was fun. It was fun having him on.
Puts Mark Kuiper to shame.
As you guys heard, he's gonna have a show live tomorrow. He's gonna be live for the first round. Make sure you tune into that. We will be on it. We'll probably jump on, talk about a few picks here and there, and hopefully, maybe something interesting may happen to make us go crazy and have.
I gotta tell you, this is like one of the most unpredictable first rounds. None of the normally you have some idea of the top 10 picks. It's impossible to pick any of the picks. Nobody knows anything, and if they think they know, they're lying.
You know what? Even the experts on all the major platforms on NFL and all that, they don't even know.
No, everybody's just guessing. Like literally,
Exactly.
and Jacksonville always kept it real close to the vest about what they're ever going to do. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, last year we all knew who was going to go number one, and it wasn't even a secret.
Right, definitely wasn't a secret.
So you know, if the number one is a secret, you know that there's no true number one pick this year.
No.
So it'll be fun. All right, guys, make sure you follow. You make sure you tune in tomorrow for live on Facebook.
I'll be tuning in for sure.
Yeah. Point Sports World here with Dave. He's gonna be on it with his co-host. I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah, I got a co-host. His name is TJ.
TJ, cool. There you go. So he's gonna be on. Dave, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for giving us some knowledge about the draft tomorrow, and also plugging in your social media one last time.
Oh yeah, PSW_David, and then on the Facebook it's Prime Sports World, and we bring the heat, baby.
There you go. Dave Hoffman here from Prime Sports World, man. Thank you very much, man. Keep listening, keep watching. Make sure you also follow us on social media too as well. So
see you guys later.
See you, man.
Hopefully see you guys tomorrow. And I will for sure see you tomorrow, Eric.
Yeah, trust me. Tomorrow's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah, so much fun. Can't wait.
All right, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, that's Dave Hoffman. I'm telling you, man, this guy knows his stuff. He's really, really smart.
Very knowledgeable for sure.
But yeah, super knowledgeable. So Prime Sports World, he's definitely going to be on tomorrow with us. He's going to be live. I'm sorry. He's going to be live tomorrow on Prime Sports World. So make sure you guys tune in on that. So very, very knowledgeable. Jose, man. Look, we could go on and on, but we know what the Bears really do need, and it's just ridiculous to even.
They need a whole team, Eric. They need the whole damn team.
Right? It's like everybody. It's even ridiculous to even think about, like, dude, they need this, they need that, they need this, they need that. But to you, Jose, what's the biggest need? What's the Bears' biggest need?
Look, my biggest, obviously, there's so many. You just mentioned there's so many different positions you can go, and you be okay. That makes sense, right? But you have Justin Fields. He is supposed to be your future quarterback for years and years and years and years and years to come. Protect him. I don't know if this is the right answer, because there really is no right answer, right? Because there's so many needs on this team. But for me, this is my opinion. This is what I think. Protect this man. All right. This is, again, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can become. We're only going to find out if he has the time to throw, time to run, time to do whatever the hell behind the pocket. But we won't know unless he has unless he has an offensive line to be able to protect him. He didn't have one last season. It was clear as day. Protect this man, get some offensive line around him. And then once you feel confident in how you're building your offensive line, then, focus on who he's throwing to. But, David brings up a good point. Losing Pringle isn't it's really nothing. The guy was a speedster, but there's definitely way more talent out there you could bring in. So wide receivers, they're out there. You could bring them in. Tight ends, you could bring them in. You still have who's their tight end? Why am I blanking on his name?
Cole Kmet.
Cole Kmet. Yes, you still have Cole Kmet. Hopefully, he's able to develop under Eberflus's offense to the tight end where we want him to be. But protect Justin Fields, man. Plain and simple.
Yeah, Duffman goes on to say the Bears need a bear.
A grizzly. They need a grizzly.
They need a grizzly for sure.
Sign John Morant to a contract in the NFL. He can do it all.
I've been saying for this for many, many years, we need offensive line. Protect his QB.
Duffman agrees.
Yeah, definitely 100%. The Jca Sports Podcast here. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all that. Make sure you guys click the little bell sign that's on here on the Facebook page to make sure you guys click the bell to notify you guys that when the show is going to be on live. And make sure you guys also like and share all of our shows, not only just the Jca Sports Podcast, but Sports Strip Live and also the EAFP podcast.
Eric, what do you think, Eric? Answer your question. I want just answer you. What should the Bears draft? Who should the Bears draft? What position do the Bears need the most?
So I'm in agreement. I think with Duffman here. I think an offensive lineman is probably the way to go. But unless if one of those wide receivers that fall from the second round to the first round, you probably want to go that route too as well. But then I'm more of that guy, and I've always been this guy. If nothing is really there for you during your picks, then trade back, get more draft capital. You need to rebuild this team anyways, and getting players from the second and maybe even the third rounds, they become starters on your team. Those are the ones that fight for the starting spots. You see some second and third rounders become starters in the teams. So so to me that's the route I go. You're right. Offensive line is always needed, right? But I don't mind you trading back. Look, we mentioned before 39th and 48th. So if somehow, some way you fall back from your first pick and get back-to-back picks and the 47th and 48th, but then you get another third rounder, that's fine. Or even trade back that even too as well. And then get maybe another third rounder and a fourth round pick, or a second and a fourth round pick, knowing that you're going to have multiple picks, but you're also reloading and restocking at the back end, because it's the second, third, fourth, and fifth rounders that make your team. They'll give you that depth. So at this point, look, I hope it's not a Ryan Pace thing where he's a straight shooter and all of a sudden he's trading away picks just to get a player, just to get another Kevin White, just to get another Mitchell Trubisky, just to get even Adam Shaheen. What other first round pick I'm missing that he got that it didn't work out?
You said Kevin White? Kevin White. He had to be probably the worst first round pick.
Oh, definitely. If there's another person out in the world that was worse than Mitchell Trubisky, it's Kevin White.
100%.
I, Duffman, Dave, and everybody that watches, comments on us, and listen to us every week, we all have the same amount of touchdown as Kevin White in the NFL.
He played for 3 years.
He played for 3 years. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Duffman on the chat says that's what Mitch needed. That's what Cuddy needed. That's what Grossman needed. And Field needs it. He needs it. Learn from your mistakes, Bears front office. Yeah, look, this is the year where, again, the Bears need to get that depth going and see what they could get in Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus' first year. I'm more optimistic. I don't know. It's because of the breath of fresh air. I don't know if I got the new car smell with Eberflus and Poles.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that I feel so more optimistic than I did.
You fell into the trap, Eric. You fell to the trap that we fall in and year out. We felt that very same way with Phil Emery and Mark Trestman. We felt that very same way with Ryan Pace, John Fox, Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy. Now with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. That don't fall into that trap.
But I feel this time they actually have football guys.
You said that last time.
Did I really? I don't even remember.
You said it last time. Ryan Pace came just like Poles did from a winning organization. Ryan Pace came from the New Orleans Saints, right? He was a scout just like Ryan Poles is. Then we brought in John Fox. We finally have a football coach, a real coach. Someone away from Mark Trestman in the CFL. We got an NFL coach in John Fox. How did that work out for us?
He cleaned up the locker room. That I do. If
So did Mitch Trubisky. He cleaned up the locker room really well, but
the
how that
Bears,
worked out for us.
the Bears with John Fox, they said that the Bears actually had a more professional locker room than he did with Emery. So if there's anything that John Fox did, is that he cleaned up that locker room very, very well.
Just show me. Just prove it to me. Like, I don't want to hear the talking. I don't want to hear the speculating. Just prove to me that you are what we want you to be, and that is an efficient GM, an efficient head coach. Show us that you can develop Justin Fields into the quarterback we all need him to be to win us the championship, because that's all we needed. That's all we need. We haven't had that in how many years? We haven't had a legit quarterback in. A lot of people say Jay Cutler was it, but he really wasn't. We haven't had a legit quarterback my entire lifetime.
Hey man, he broke Bears records. Okay, he is the best Chicago Bears quarterback in the Bears history.
But Eric, you're comparing to who though? who are you comparing to?
Sid Luckman.
Right, exactly. So it's like, come on, man.
Hey man, look, Sexy Rexy took me to a Super Bowl, so if he could do it, I believe in Justin.
I believe in Justin. I want to believe in Justin. Just prove it.
What did Duffman says? Please don't let it be a lemon with a new car smell air freshener. Oh yeah, definitely. That's for sure. He goes on and says, I think we clicked it at the same time. So go ahead. Let's get this team going again and reopen Club Dub. We have a new management. LOL. Hey, Club Dub. I think that was just a one and done type of thing.
Club Dub. Yeah, no, that's not coming back.
Yeah, that's never gonna come back. Greg, what up, Greg? Jay Cutler is a Chicago legend for sure. 100%. Cuddy, my buddy. He's definitely a Bears legend. He's the Bears record holder, just like Robert Quinn is, and he might get traded tomorrow. Oh, oops. Did I spoke too soon? Did I speak that to existence? No, that's not right. He said he wants to stay. Look, there's mixed reports. There's a lot of mixed reports going out there about Robert Quinn and about the Chicago Bears and in the news going around the NFL too with Deebo Samuel and what are the teams that have multiple draft picks are going to do with their picks, especially the later rounds. So are they going to move up? A lot of teams want to move down. It's a very, 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 very strange draft after a very, 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 very exciting offseason. So let's just hope it's just exciting and keeps us entertained since our Chicago beloved Bears are not picking tomorrow. I don't know. They may make some noise. They may trade up in the first round, late first round. Who knows? I don't think so.
I know.
I really don't think so.
I think David gave us a great point. There's no way in hell.
Prime Sports World, guys. If you guys want to tune in tomorrow, Prime Sports World, as my boy David, the guest today, my draft expert, my NFL analysis guy, deep, he's into it. He's gonna be live tomorrow, first round, Prime Sports World on the Facebook. Make sure you tune into his show to watch the first round live and talk to him and his co-host. So who's that? TJ, right? That's his co-host. Yeah. So just like my co-host, Jose Contreras, we missed John. John wasn't into it with us today. Jose, thank you very much. Any final words?
No, go Bears, man. Let's see what we can do on Friday. But for now, I'm excited for the draft. Be the first draft Pauline and I watch together. She's super stoked. So yeah, I'm into it, man. I can't wait.
Cute. Cubs are tied 3-3 heading into the extras, and the White Sox finally won. Hey, would you look at that? After they finally snapped their 10 game. Well, how many games are they off? 6, 7, 8, whatever. Who cares?
The White Sox they were on an 8-game losing streak until
8-game losing streak. Greg says before we leave, I'm being realistic. The Bears will have a top 10 defense. All I need is the offense to score more than. Hey, look, 20 points is a like I'm more like let the Bears offense score more than 2 touchdowns and then I have an offense because that's better than it was last year and the year before that and the year before that. So
look, I was being a hater today, Eric. I had a 10-game baseball parlay, just all money lines who I thought would win, right?
Mm-hmm.
So far, basically 9 of those games hit, but the one game that I lost was the White Sox. I picked the Royals to win. I thought.
hey, look, I would have done the same.
The losing streak was going to continue, man.
We continue too. Hey,
I was being a hater, bro. I could have won $1,900 from bet $250.
Jeez, look at that, man. Don't worry. I felt the same way yesterday. I lost the bet to John in the Man City Madrid game. So, yeah, it's all right. I know how you feel. We're right here, bro. But that was another episode of the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you guys missed an episode, don't worry. Our episodes are up and loaded on the Anchor and Spotify app. We will be back on Monday to talk about the draft. We're also going to talk about more NBA playoffs coming up on Monday and see what our baseball teams did over the weekend too as well. I didn't have the EAFP podcast today, but it will be on mañana. I'm making it live. It's been a crazy day here at work, man.
Liverpool, baby, Liverpool.
Yeah, they look dominant today. I'll tell you that, Jose. They look really good today against a Villarreal team that doesn't deserve to be there, but they are there. They did what they needed to do. It looked like the last 20 minutes, they both said, you know what? We'll see you guys in Spain. We'll take this 2-0 defeat. It's the best that we can do, and we'll give you all we can give next week at home. So, yeah, man, pretty exciting stuff. Remember, tomorrow, Champions League games of the week, and also Europa League since it's on a Thursday. So that's the episode for tomorrow for me, for my soccer podcast. For Jose Contreras, John Taplaya, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, myself, Eric Avila. Special thanks to Greg. Special thanks to Duffman. And a big special thanks to my boy Dave Hoffman. Make sure you guys watch his first round draft tomorrow live, Prime Sports World. That's Prime Sports World on the Facebook. As for us, we'll see you guys next week. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and we love y'all. We'll see y'all. Have a good night.
Peace. Have a good night, everybody.
What a finish! Wow, that is unfreaking believable. What a way for a ball game to end.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's terrible. My God. The humanity.
They may be the drunkest couple in the history of sporting events.
I loved his face.
I would suspect that man is done for the night. Here's the thing. When you steal something, don't wear it.